Nice. Wonder Twin Powers. No, you're supposed to bump.
Oh,
No.
oh, fist.
Yes.
My bad.
You're
Welcome to the
such a
Grappling with Podcast.
freaking weirdo.
Dr. Chris Hardy and William Walker will take a
Olivia
deep
did
dive
that
into
once.
topics covering wellness and prevention,
What? Some dude
performance,
walked up to her and
recovery,
was like,
and
"Yeah,"
injury
and she
management.
just do it.
Our mission is to provide the
She
latest
goes-
science-based information to help you get the most out of your grappling
like rock,
journey,
paper,
both
scissors.
on
Shook
and off
it.
the mats, and help you overcome any challenges you may be grappling with. Dr. Hardy
I
is a
didn't do it
licensed physician
slow.
and BJJ practitioner.
That looked a little
This
creepy,
podcast
Olivia.
is meant for
I think
educational
I meant
purposes
to,
only.
like,
It
do
should not
this,
be
but I
taken as
didn't make
medical
it, and I
advice.
just-
Please seek out
I think I
personalized
was
care
going
from
for
your
a-
own
like
medical
a
provider prior to implementing
hand slap.
any medical treatment or
Yeah, we can do
intervention.
Bill is a licensed buffoon.
I like
He
how we
says things
don't
that are a
even
little
listen to our
squirrely. Do
disclaimers
not hold
anymore.
these things
It's
against
fake.
his gym mates, his family, Chris Hardy, Harry Hardy, or anybody at his gym.
Hello.
Hi.
So sorry to everyone listening. I have some congestion. It's annoying to listen to. I'm sorry.
Well, if you keep talking like you're talking, I'll punch you in the other nose.
The other nose?
Yeah.
Or the other nostril?
Same.
Okay.
That's why you sound that way, because I popped you.
You pop me
Yeah.
for back sass?
Yeah, for back sass.
I like it.
I like that you're making up terms, too.
That's a southern term, son.
No.
Yes, it is.
That's not a real thing.
Dude.
Back sass?
Where are you from?
Obviously not downtown Everett, where you're from.
No, from Louisiana, son. There's back sass down there.
A lot of prostitutes.
There's a lot of Cajuns. I don't know. It's the same.
Is that the same thing?
Maybe. I don't. All my relatives could disown me. I'm sure.
So are you like a Theo Vaughn fan?
Yeah, of course.
From the Louisiana backcountry.
Yeah, dude. Those are all my relatives, just like him.
I like it.
Yeah.
Did you know that man named Gert?
No, personally, no.
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 You heard of him?
No.
He's the dude that he had no arms, but he could beat people up.
Oh, what? The yeah, you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I heard his reference
He'd
to
catch you with that lurch.
Yeah, I love seeing the lurch, the chin trap.
Yeah. He's like, you just
Trap him with
you're
his-
done. Catch him slipping.
It's so funny, dude. He's the best.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we got something spicy today.
A little bit.
Not really. You're just gonna make it that way, aren't you?
No. I'm going to bring some order to this mess that you call life.
Okay.
Now, last week we said it was going to be spicy. I don't think it was that spicy last week, honestly.
No.
I cussed a little bit because I had a Mountain Dew before, but
Yeah, that's okay.
you know, this subject, I think I'll probably sizzle a couple butt hairs of some people for sure.
Well, you've been known to do that,
Yeah. I carry matches on me at all times.
and you're usually in position to do so.
Yeah. I take people's back.
Yeah, yeah. The back, not their butt.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird.
Ew.
Anyway, we are going to talk about takedowns.
Yes.
Right?
Something I'm very good at, obviously.
You know what? You're also the most humble person I know.
It was sarcasm. I have the worst
You mean
wrestling in the
sarcasm?
gym. What? What do you call me?
You said sarcasm.
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of weird the way you did the syllables. on that.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm. This is going
Are
great.
you saying something different than I am?
Okay. Yeah.
Sarcasm.
We'll let the listeners.
As a native English speaker, Justin, we have a guest in studio. Do you put the camera on him?
Sarcasm, not sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm, not sarcasm. That's what you said.
Are you effing with me?
We'll listen to it when we turn back.
Sarcasm.
Exactly.
Yeah, she said what I said.
Okay. Everyone comment in just to tell Bill that he didn't pronounce the syllables correctly. Let's go. Oh my gosh.
This is your show.
I know.
What do you?
Yeah, we were talking about takedowns, and there's always, there's a judo approach, there's a wrestling approach,
Yes,
right?
and we're going to talk judo versus wrestling.
And maybe another option,
Yes, with a little caveat of maybe there's something else out there.
perhaps.
Yeah.
So you seem very opinionated about this. So let me hear what you have to say.
Well, I kind of, when you text me this, you're like, hey, I want to talk about judo versus wrestling. And I took it in a certain direction.
I said takedowns, and I said, for example, judo versus wrestling.
I rest my case. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Okay.
Now, I thought you meant like which one's better. Exactly. You meant something else. What did you mean?
Let's talk about what you think. Are there some advantages to either one? Are there disadvantages to one versus the other? Is it due to your background, your preferences, your athleticism? Which one is more, you could argue which one is more technically difficult to learn for a beginner?
Yeah, so judo versus wrestling
Yeah,
sounds
sure.
like exactly what we thought.
Yeah.
So let's put it out there that I am not a wrestler. So
Nor am I.
I'm not a judoka.
Nor am I. Which is ironic.
Yeah, you got to remember, Bill, Mo will be coming back on the show.
Mo's going to beat me up no matter what.
That's true.
That's just what it is.
And we'll get Clinton coming in. He'll
throw me around as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. Casey's going to put his foot in my butt. Alan's going to sit on my head.
Yep. If you throw shade on wrestling.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of other Rashawn. He's going to throw me over his big old leg
Yep.
and sit on me.
That's
He's a
horrific.
judoka.
Yep.
So, okay. If I could maybe kick this off a little
Please.
bit. I think it all depends on what you're talking about application-wise. Because you have self-defense. You have maybe MMA. You have transferring into jiu-jitsu.
Which is kind of where I was going.
Okay. Like what can be more applicable for jiu-jitsu?
Say you have a white belt, coming into first competition, have been training like 6 months. If they don't have any other background, you know how those starting on the feet usually looks.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
It's a slap fest.
That's right.
You're still breaking through.
Right.
So that was a shot.
In that context.
Yes. Literally slapping. Yes. So I think both are needed. Not necessarily if you're going to neglect one, you're going to hurt yourself. Like you have to put time in both, I think. Now, personally, I think judo is a better avenue right out the gate.
Here he goes.
I'm going with it.
Okay.
I'm going with it.
All right.
Now, that's not to say that there are. So I think here. Also, it depends on when this person's coming in. If you are a middle-aged 35-year-old, right?
It's not middle-aged, son.
What's middle-aged? If you say 40 because I'm 5 years off, I'm going to kick you in the wiener.
The middle age is like late 40s, 50s.
He almost said 45.
He almost said 41. Just to swerve that kick to the begonias.
I want to see you try under the table. You're not going to do it.
Because it's got that one thing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Protection, son.
Is that your testicles right there?
No.
Oh, okay.
You would know. Go ahead.
So people that are on audio are just wondering what's going on. Anyways, okay, I digest. So if you have a middle-aged person, 35 to 50, I think you go judo primarily. Okay. Because wrestling depends more on athleticism. This is my opinion. Yeah. Not saying it's anybody else's, but I did a little research for this topic, and I listened to different perspectives coming from different professionals in those arts. And there's one person, I won't say their name. Maybe if someone asks me off camera, I'll say it. But they are a black belt in judo. They're a high-level college wrestler, and they do jiu-jitsu now, is primarily. So I value what they say.
Yeah.
Because they've kind of
Done both.
been through everything.
Yeah.
And they say that athleticism plays a bigger part in wrestling than it does in judo. And then as well as if you're going to get into something, because right now we're talking about what transfers to jiu-jitsu. Is that what we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
Okay. The things that you learn in judo transfer a little bit better, I think. And not everything, okay? But, for example, Kazushi, off-balancing. I think that just that piece alone of learning the body mechanics and off balancing techniques transfers to jiu-jitsu more than most things. And just the theories of those grip structures, grip breaking, stuff like that. Do you want to say something?
I'm listening.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm enthralled.
Yeah. Even transferring that into no-gi,
Okay.
I think there is still quite a few techniques that transfer from judo and are applicable in no-gi. And we can even take that into MMA.
Well, we've seen it in MMA.
Yes.
Caro Parisian and
Sure.
Ronda
Pimlet.
Rousey.
Pimlet. He
Yep.
you know, those Ouchi sweeps off the wall are tremendous.
Yep.
I mean, just watch Damian Anderson in his first MMA match that you could watch is he's hitting that guy with a couple, even Volkanovski against Islam, which we just saw over the weekend. He was hitting inside foot trips on one of the best wrestlers we've seen in MMA.
Right.
Now, wrestling.
Okay.
You have three primary styles, right? You have your freestyle, you have your folk style, and you have Greco.
Right.
Okay. Folk style is a little bit more of an American thing, but freestyle is what you see in like the Olympics and college. And all. Okay. So Greco is a primarily upper body style of wrestling.
Yeah. I think Randy Couture.
Randy Couture,
Yep.
Cormier has some experience
Yep.
in that world as well. So that's good, especially if you're going to go towards an MMA kind of base. Now, I think from my research, folk style is maybe the best to take over, whether it be MMA or jiu-jitsu, because of the point structure. As I was looking up some of the rules and stuff like that, with folk style, you don't, kind of like judo and freestyle, you don't get points just for returning someone to the mat or throw or something like a throw. It's more like jiu-jitsu where you have to actually pin the person. So let's say you get them to the mat, you have to pin them, not in a sense of like shoulder blades on the mat.
You have to
but
consolidate
You have
your
to hold them down.
For sure.
Okay.
They just can't pop right back up.
Right. And to score points in that method. Also, if you're on bottom, you have to actually completely get up.
Okay.
Not just an escape into a transitional position that's, you're a near escape or whatever. You actually have to completely get out. So I find that transfers, at least in my mind, to jiu-jitsu a little bit better.
Okay.
Now, once again, that's not saying that there's nothing in freestyle. Calm down, Casey and Mo. Dan. Calm down. That nothing in freestyle is applicable. Obviously, a lot of stuff there. And I would say one of the more important things is the culture that happens when you're in those wrestling rooms. The work ethic that can be instilled, the toughness, the mental toughness, the ability that gets put on them daily of overcoming difficulties. That is so valuable. I think where they fall short a little bit, though, in the wrestling community, and honestly the judo community also, is what's a 40-year-old that wants to wrestle? Where's he going to go?
Yeah.
Where's that guy going to go?
Right.
There's not wrestling rooms that's why we get these people. Jiu-jitsu, we pull them in, right? Because maybe we have wrestling curriculum, or there's a Kindred. They have a good wrestling coach, right? Does he coach once a week? Twice? Once a week. He's a D1. He's a D1 captain of Columbia. Hernandez is his last name. Fantastic wrestler. But he only coaches once a week. So if you want those practitioners, they're like us, but they value wrestling, they have nowhere to go.
Right.
Right. Same with judo, honestly. A lot of the time, the Randori side, which is sparring, is not there. These arts are hard on the body. Though.
Yeah, they are.
Also.
Big time.
I'm talking like crazy.
You're doing good.
Tell me what you think.
No,
so
yeah.
far.
So, Yeah, I like what you're saying. I guess, bring it back specifically to the context of takedowns because, you could talk about wrestling, its applicability in scrambles. We've seen the really good wrestlers in our gym, just watching them through scrambles and their head position, their control, and their,
Absolutely.
right?
Their base.
Right. So but if we solely on the takedown, feet to floor.
Okay.
Right. I guess what is the easier, I should say, to teach a day one white belt, a double leg versus, one of the judo throws or a single leg. What the ease of entry.
Sure.
What do you think?
So your snatch single,
Yep.
I'm going to say that's one of the cornerstone beginner takedowns.
Ankle pick.
Sure.
Right.
From the wrestling perspective.
Right.
I would say your inside trip, a Kouchi could be, but it's so timing based. It takes so many reps to get a good Kouchi, which is an inside foot trip.
That's where I was kind of going with this. Right.
But you have your Sasai or an Asotogari, which are, in my opinion, a Sasai and an inside foot trip are just as applicable.
So
as
break
your
that down a
ankle
little bit. So, I know judo is very much on the Japanese names for it.
Yeah,
Someone that doesn't have the background.
So a Sasai, and there is, I want to get too technical. Because there's two throws that are very similar. It's just the difference is where your foot's placed. Is it towards the knee or is it towards the foot? Okay. So I'm going to just merge those just for simplicity.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So if there's a judoka out there,
Don't crap on you too bad.
Yeah. If I'm gripped up with you, I have my left hand on your lapel and I have my right hand on your sleeve, and you have similar grips.
The mirror image.
Yeah. These are very neutral grips.
Yep.
Okay. And I step in with my left foot. Remember, my left hand is on your lapel.
Yep.
I step in with my left foot. And then I start to rotate to my right. I start pulling your sleeve.
Yep.
Okay. And then I start driving my palm into your jaw.
And the palm is the one that's on the lapel.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
So my left hand is driving towards your jaw. I'm rotating my body as I took a step in. Okay.
Yep.
When I take that step in, my toes are pointing to the inside.
When you take the step in, is your right or your left foot?
With my left foot.
Yeah. So the same side as your lapel grip.
So my toes are pointing to the right on my left foot as I step in because that helps my rotation. And then I start pulling you onto your toes and pulling you almost towards me. But since I'm doing this rotation, it's pulling you a little bit over your left foot.
Gotcha.
Now, ultimately, you're going to take a step to brace yourself.
Correct.
In that moment, I stick my right foot out and block your step.
Right.
Okay. What happens is then you fall over that
Block.
foot,
Yeah.
that wedge, that block that I'm putting there with my right foot, and then you get your throw.
Yeah.
Okay. As a Sasai. Okay. Now, depending if you go on the foot or the knee, that's where the difference in
Kind of a little rotational throw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But with that, it's very low risk because it's not a turning throw like a drop seonagi or something.
Or a sacrifice throw or something.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
I think that is an extremely low risk, easy to understand throw, which has a form of kazushi into it.
Exactly.
Off balance.
I like
When I
it.
say kazushi, I mean off balance. So then you have your ouchi, which is your inside foot sweep. Okay.
Right.
Inner reap.
Right.
Is what it means. So same grips. Okay. Now my left arm is going to punch back. Okay. My right arm is going to pull that sleeve. So I start blading you.
Yep.
I start twisting you.
Yep.
Okay. And I take a nice little, almost like a skip step. Okay. With my left foot coming forward. And I do a big sweep of your right leg.
Right.
From inside out.
Yep.
And then I drive you down. Okay. Very, once again, low risk. A lot of time you'll see them drop to a knee as they do this.
Yep.
Okay. When you start combining throws,
Chaining them.
yes, and chaining them,
Yep.
these become really successful. Now, maybe the most, in my opinion, for someone that didn't wrestle, didn't do judo, have an athletic background, but I started jiu-jitsu later in life, right? Mid-30s. The sumigeshi
Yep.
is maybe the best throw there is. Now, a little bit of a sacrifice throw.
Yep.
But you're either, if it's failed, you should be essentially pulling guard
Right.
into a decent guard, which is typically butterfly, single leg X, maybe even X guard, something of that sort. Now, so fairly low risk, especially if you're not comfortable standing. The failure point, once again, puts you in a guard. Now, a sumigeshi, quickly, I'll say, let's say I have a lapel grip with my right hand.
Same side.
Same side, not across.
Right.
That's another thing in the rules of judo that we can talk about. But so I have that lapel grip. Now, this isn't exclusive. I could do this from a 2-on-1 or Russian tie, something like this.
Sure, but just for simplicity.
Yeah. I have that, and then I can grab your right sleeve, and then I can step in. We're going to do a nice little step as I'm dropping underneath you. It's almost like I'm sitting to my butt.
Yep.
Okay. As I do that, I'm pulling you over me as in your posture, your head. I want your head to be coming over my head.
Yep.
Okay. As I'm trying to sit almost in between your legs.
Yep.
That's the motion, because I want to load you up. Then I put my right instep and shin about your hamstring kind of groin area, almost like roughly in there.
Yep.
And then I do a nice kick as I roll to my back, and I fling you over my head. Okay, there's obviously more detail to that, and there's different grip structures, but it's a sacrifice. So if I fail with that, then I am sitting on my butt, and I can now I'm underneath you. You're kind of loaded up in a precarious position.
You can establish a guard or some type.
Yeah.
From there. So in summary, these are kind of things you think are the best, for kind of entry points for judo. For like
low risk.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to understand, and have some core principles to them that transfer to more technical throws.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think in the beginning, low risk stuff is pretty beneficial. That also doesn't take a ton of athleticism.
Yeah.
Those three don't take they do not take much athleticism, rather than a swing single, which is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
Can take some athleticism.
Right.
A snatch single, not as much.
Ankle pick.
Ankle pick, not as much.
Not as much.
Right?
Yep.
But once again, those are your kind of entry. Now, when you start getting into a double leg or something like that,
There's a lot of technique.
there's a lot of technique, but there's going to be a level of athleticism that kind of comes into play as well.
Agreed.
And that's not to say there's no judo throws that don't take athleticism. So like a hizaguruma, which is a fireman's carry, right? Like
No,
you're
I
going to
completely agree with you. And what I will tell you, what I like about our academy is we really try to mix.
Kataguruma, sorry.
We try to mix them.
Say it again.
At our academy, we try to mix the wrestling and the judo. And
Well, yeah, we have such a big wrestling background. We're in the middle of a hub of wrestling.
Yeah.
Because Lake Stevens, which is across the trestle, has a tremendous program. Everett has a tremendous program.
Yep.
Glacier, like all these little, and then there's kind of like I think they're called Rhino, like wrestling Rhino programs, which are like youth.
Yep.
Select wrestling programs. We have those in our area.
Have a big women's program.
Big women's program.
Girls and women's.
A lot of areas, metro areas and
Yep.
stuff. They don't actually have these programs, these select programs, like
Right.
the wrestling rhinos and all that. So they're just dependent on hopefully starting middle school.
Yep.
But since we have it, like we get kids that have been wrestling pre-middle school.
Yeah.
Which is middle school is kind of typically when a wrestling program comes into play.
Right.
From a school district standpoint.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we end up mixing both for sure. Andrew has his own judo kind of like he believed in importance of a lot of judo throws as well. So we end up doing quite the mix.
Yeah.
Where the koichi that we do is kind of an ankle pick. It's not just the traditional koichi where you do an off balance and then you go for a timing based inner foot sweep.
Right.
We actually lean towards the timing based ankle pick foot sweep. You know,
what the kind of a hybrid thing, which I think is super cool. And I think that just makes you a better grappler too, being able to like you use kazushi, with your judo throw. Maybe it's failed and you can switch right if whatever is presented to you. You can switch to a wrestling takedown.
Yeah, I mean we see it really with like when we go to cross gripping, which is unfortunately illegal in judo, which I was going to bring up about some of the downfalls of some of the things that can create bad habits. Yeah, right. With judo is you're not allowed in competition. You're not allowed to grab the legs anymore.
Right.
You can't cross grip anymore. In wrestling, like I think I get why they're doing this. There's a reason. Same with wrestling with not being able to clasp your hands. Now, I get reasons and stuff like that, but these can create kind of more negative habits when you're crossing into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But let's say you do a cross grip and you go for like something like a collar drag.
Yep.
Collar drag is essentially an arm drag from wrestling, right? Which is once again a beginner entry level technique that is super efficient. You'll use if you get good in arm drag, you'll use that till you're a black belt and on.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yep.
Especially you get a good one because you can use arm drags from the bottom in sitting positions.
Yep.
You can use them from standing, obviously. So now if we just throw in a collar drag, same principles. But then you start chaining it. Okay, collar drags into some sort of single leg. Collar drag, failed collar drag into a failed single leg into a drop sail.
Absolutely.
Right. Into the train wreck, which is like it's like a side sail.
Or to your point, like I'll set up an ankle pick with a cross lapel grip. Mm-hmm. And the same, it's almost like a collar sleeve grip.
Yeah.
At that
Fabricio Andre, Hokage, he has one of these best ankle picks in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And what he does, and I encourage people to look up Fabrice, just do Hokage, Hokage, ankle pick.
Yep.
He is tremendous at it because his level change is that of a very quality wrestler, right? With a collar grip, he'll change levels. So he's bringing your posture down.
Right.
And he'll dive for a traditional ankle pick. Ankle pick is just where we're gonna slam our hand to the mat right behind the heel, and then with that collar grip, now that we've broken their posture down, we're gonna drive them over, and we have their ankle, so they can't do a step backwards to keep their base, and then they fall over. Well, he's tremendous because at the highest levels, at the world level, people have tremendous balance. They can kick out and la 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 la, but he stays on it.
Yeah.
So they kick out, and then he does a cross grip on the ankle. So he went for the first ankle, they step out of that, and then he goes to the second one.
The second one, yep.
And then he'll even do the third. So he's just staying on it. That's a principle from wrestling.
Yep.
Reshooting, right? Yep. Shot, defense, sprawl, reshot, defense, sprawl, reshot. They're taking principles from one art and then just applying it in jiu-jitsu, but then there's also some judo in there too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the whole purpose of me wanting to talk about this is to show that they're not mutually exclusive, right? That, you can kind of take techniques from both and maybe some things at the end we can kind of tie it up and give some recommendations for some things to work on.
Out of the two, what about you?
What came easier for me? The wrestling did.
Really?
Yep.
Are you trying to say you're an athlete?
Nope.
Are you trying to say you're an athlete?
I'm not.
Look at me. You're cross-eyed. I can't tell.
I come from a wrestling family.
Okay.
My dad's side, he wrestled for Auburn.
Did you wrestle did you ever do wrestling?
Not officially. I got my butt kicked when I was a kid by my father for about 10 years.
If your dad's a D1 wrestler. I mean,
at Auburn. Yeah.
Probably made you do something.
It wasn't very fun. One of the reasons why I probably didn't wrestle.
Right.
Isn't that interesting how that works?
Yeah.
But it kind of, from white belt to where I'm at black belt now, I'm not saying I'm a good wrestler, but I can tell you I can do a couple takedowns.
You have a couple in your bag.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
And it came a little more naturally where I feel like I struggle a little more with some of the judo. And quite honestly, it's just about reps.
Yeah. And there is a conceptual thing when it comes to the kazushi stuff, the off balancing.
Yep.
That there is a tremendous amount of feel in judo
Yep.
that takes place in timing. I'm not saying wrestling doesn't have timing, but you can almost compensate some of the feel stuff with horsepower. And not just athleticism horsepower, and it's something that's bred into the culture of wrestling, and that's just go.
Yeah.
Right? There's a positive to that, but there is something that, how do I say it? There's something that can be, I think, more beneficial from the judo side of let's feel this.
For sure. I should take it back. I mean, one of the things I really latched onto with judo is some of the foot sweeps with the timing thing. I felt like that came a little more naturally. But
that could be, I mean, you have a musical background. If people didn't know, he did do our intro music all himself, the drums, the guitar. Did you play a xylophone in that?
No xylophone.
Okay.
A didgeridoo. No, I didn't really.
What?
No, I didn't. You look it up. It's funny. It's a funny instrument.
Well, I think you said it wrong.
I may have.
You said a didgeridoo.
I said didgeridoo.
You got a little Biden on me.
Oh, my God. I have not sniffed anyone's hair today.
Bring it.
Is it a diggery-doo?
No, I can't say. It was in my head.
I thought it was a didgeridoo.
Your big dumb face made it hard on my head. That's what she did.
Dude, take that whole sequence back. I don't like that whole visual,
Pause.
dude.
A didgeridoo.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay.
It makes a cool noise.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like Australians use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Respect. Shout out to Australians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So my point was, how did we get on that? The foot sweep. Oh, yeah, we were talking about timing. The foot sweep.
Yeah, that was my whole thing, is that you have rhythm.
What I found, what's interesting is I really latched onto that thing where you kind of, with your foot, kind of snatch their foot up and grab a single.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of cool what, as you go through and try all these things, what kind of gels with you and what you like, because you don't need to have the full repertoire of judo throws.
Right. You don't have to know the core 40 in the canon of
have
judo.
Have a couple that are high percentage for you, or at least use it like a jab, like Andrew always says. To try to get them moving, and then you can kind of switch to whatever they present you based on their reaction. So I think we'll talk about that at the end. What you think? I'd like to hear what you think that like a new white belt should maybe concentrate on that. The third thing I thought was really interesting. So fairly recently, like a year ago, Danaher came out with, he had that whole feet to floor series.
Yeah. I think he's got a couple now at this point, right?
Yeah, there's a whole nother one that's no gi, but he had a feet to floor that was a lot of gi. And the third volume of that was what he calls a weaponized guard pull. He's like, look, we're jiu-jitsu players. Why not? Another option is to pull guard directly into a sweeping position. Because if you look at the whole idea of taking someone down anyway in a competition is to get your 2 points, right? If you can pull yourself, not with the intention of pulling guard then setting up an attack, but if you can pull guard in such a way where you're already into a sweeping position, you can get your 2 points that way as well in a short amount of time. And he has a whole series on that I thought was really interesting. I think that the closest judo example is like a Tomonagi. Right, where really it looks like you're guard pulling kind of into a throw.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a sumigaeshi that I explained earlier, but instead of that instep going to the inner thigh, we're going to put a foot on their hip as they're being loaded, and you like literally launch them.
Right. Yeah. So, that's the kind of the idea where, he goes through the series like pulling directly into single leg X or to X guard directly into these sweeping positions, and even doing pulling directly into attacks too, which I think is another, something unique to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Right? I think it shouldn't be, but
kind of is.
It is. You're talking about the pulling into an aggressive.
Yeah, pulling into a sweep, right?
Yeah.
You don't see that in a judo competition.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's all my point is.
Yeah, I thought you were saying in jiu-jitsu.
No, it's unique to jiu-jitsu.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because you're not going to. Yes. Yeah, especially for the rule set and stuff. Because with the nuaza, which is what in judo they call the ground work.
Right.
It's a 30-second time that you're under, and if there's a stale stall, let's say, that they won't even let that 30 seconds ride out.
Right.
And they'll call that stall in. You have them in an ankle lock. There's been now maybe those are kind of scenarios where they shouldn't have, but it's definitely happened.
Well, to me, if you're known for having a good Tomonagi, a perfect example is Professor Jan.
Yeah,
he has a really good one,
which
he'll shoot and reshoot, and just pretty cool. And then you're also able to change that up. Maybe you do that on your first guy, and the second one's oh, this guy's going to Tomonagi me, right? And then you do a fake guard pull to an ankle pick, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can really blend these, and get a couple things you can chain that makes it really versatile and unpredictable, I guess. You don't want to be that guy to okay. Of course, there's high-level wrestlers that well, he's going to try to take me down. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Sure.
But
that's even more of a reason to have a weaponized takedown that is a guard pull.
Exactly.
Because if you know that, for whatever reason, who you're going against.
Like a high-level judo guy.
Sure, a judo or a wrestler that you just know you are outclassed at this moment on the feet.
Yeah.
You're giving up 2 points, and they will have the lead from the get-go.
You're both white belts, but one of them was a D1 wrestler.
I mean, blue belts. Say blue belts.
Yeah.
If you're a D1 wrestler, you're supposed to be a blue belt anyway.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. But that I think it carries into all the belts, honestly.
Yeah,
it is
for sure.
If you're outclassed in the stand-up because you saw that guy's first match and he just threw the guy around like a rag doll, or he's double-legging him and his feet are in the air.
Blast double him or something crazy. Yeah.
You better have an answer to not give up that 2 points, because in competition, especially the more educated the competitor, if they get 2 points, they're just going to lock you down.
That's right.
Sorry.
And a lot of times, this isn't always true, but the first person to score has a huge advantage, both
especially as you get to the higher
there's
levels.
No doubt about that.
Then they're playing the advantage game almost.
Yeah, and they're I'm 2 points up now.
Yeah, and then they get an advantage for a near pass, and it's even if you sweep me, I'm still going to win.
Exactly.
These things go into play. So
yeah, so that's kind of a little third element. Those of you interested in that, I really recommend that whole series both the whole series that Danaher does, but that third one is really interesting to me.
What are some of his recommendations, some of the moves that he's showing as?
God, man, it's how all his DVDs are. It's like an 8-volume type of thing, right?
True.
But he goes through.
I know the drop Tayatoshi is a big one, which is the difference. So a Tayatoshi typically can be a little bit of a risky throw because it is a turn.
For sure. I mean, he even goes into things that he doesn't recommend in the training room, like the scissor takedown. And he goes shows you how to do that correctly without injuring your partner.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous throw. You know what I mean?
Kanabasami, yeah.
Yeah. But he does a lot of pulling into very advantageous guards that are stretching out, especially the single leg X and X. And just a ton of stuff he has. It's just really interesting. Another perspective on things I thought was really cool instead of the judo versus wrestling thing. And so I think having a couple things from each, and it doesn't have to be, but just a couple things you've kind of honed that you can chain together, is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we're seeing his biggest student, Gordon Ryan, shows this constantly with the weaponized guard pull, or just getting it to the mat in a jiu-jitsu sense.
Right.
You're not most likely going to win the match in a standing position.
Right.
So let's get it to the ground as fast as possible.
Right.
Now, when he is outclassed in the standing, you see him give up a takedown.
He does, yeah.
He'll give you his leg, and like Nicky Rod, for example.
He absolutely did that.
Did a massive foot sweep. It looked crazy. But the whole thing was in the rule set, you get penalized if you back off.
Yep.
Now that I'm on my back because you took me down, you have to engage.
Right.
If he guard pulled, it's a little different. But
He gave him
Exactly.
exactly. And that's just a good strategy. There.
right,
Yeah.
and part of it came from knowingly he gave him his foot. He knew he was going to sweep the back foot, so he was ready if he was going to engage from that position where he was going to go with it.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
What would you give, let's say, to someone just coming in, no wrestling, no judo background, but does have some access to people that know some judo, know some wrestling, and then from the third set to maybe one or two from each? What would you tell someone that's kind of the easiest entry to a technique? What would you think is would you recommend to a new student for the standing game?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I gravitated towards foot sweeps, but throughout my own research, I realized that that's not a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because they're so timing based. And in the beginning, people, they don't even understand like what a grip is, right? So trying to teach a very timing based movement can be very difficult and could take all essentially the brain capacity for that session.
Yeah.
Just on that.
Let me give you some parameters.
Yeah.
Let's say we have a brand new white belt came in today, but he already knows in 6 months he wants to do his first competition. How would you, and you were kind of mentoring that person?
I would definitely have to see how their movement is.
For sure.
Right? That's
Assume that not overly athletic. Not, you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
You're not coming from a really high level athletic background.
Yeah. So I like to show the collar drag.
Okay.
As a nice setup, because you can from that grip structure you can do multiple things.
Okay.
As well as pull into advantageous guards.
I love it. Yep.
Now, I personally if I found this to be a really good setup, and that's a what's called a dayashi. It's an outside foot sweep. Okay. So, and it's something Clinton showed me.
Yep.
And it kind of plays off what you had mentioned earlier, where you do a sticky foot dayashi, which is where you are hooking the back of the ankle and you can lift the foot and grab it.
Yep.
So, essentially, whatever foot they have forward, your opponent, I'm going to put the opposite forward. So if you have your right foot forward, like a standard, that's what most people do, is they're right foot forward. Okay.
And we're talking about like a closed stance.
Yeah.
Then you'd step.
So I'm going to, now, if your right foot's forward, I'm going to have my left foot forward.
Yeah, exactly. So you close your stance.
So I personally like to throw a very fast foot sweep in this scenario. I'm going to do a cross grip, as in my right hand, so my left foot's forward. I'm going to throw my right hand first.
Yep.
And then my left hand comes over it, and now I'm gripping
Double
your
lapel?
right lapel.
Okay, with both hands.
Both hands.
Like a baseball bat.
And it's very quick. Boom, boom.
Okay.
Okay. In that moment, I'm doing a skip step and hooking behind your lead leg.
Yeah, with
my left foot.
Yeah, your left foot. My right foot, your left foot.
Yep. So right hand, left hand on your right lapel.
Yep.
As I do a skip step, and my left foot goes to kick your foot.
Yep.
Okay. When I gripped, I do a punch and a pull.
Yep.
Bop, bop. Okay. Push pull.
Right.
Right. So one of the reasons I like this is because it's instilling Kazushi right off the bat. Push pull. That's all of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Right. What I like about it is if they high step out, you are now in a side Seanagi position if you want, right? Which is essentially, I do that. I attempt that foot sweep, and then, which doesn't have much timing to it because it's very quick. It's just grip, go. There's not step, step, step.
Right.
Right? It's boom, boom, boom. They back step out. You can then go into a side Seonagi, okay? Or, if you prefer, a collar drag.
Yeah.
Right there. So they step out, collar drag.
Gotcha.
You didn't have to change grips.
Because you already have both hands gripped.
Yes.
There.
So I like to show that 3-move combo. It all starts with the dayashi,
Yep.
but depending on the reaction, you will then do your collar drag to a hip grab, most likely, or your what's Team Lloyd Irvin calls it the train wreck. Tim Spriggs is very famous for it. He threw everybody on their face with it, or a side sail. So I think that is a good starter sequence, while also within the Dayashi Harai, the outside foot sweep, the initial move, show them as well grabbing the ankle. Like how you were talking about, kicking the ankle up.
Yep.
And now we're in a nice
single leg
we're on the
pivot.
outside with a single underarm pit.
Right.
We can
Inside trip from there. You can do all kinds of
exactly. You
stuff.
can do a bunch of stuff from there. I like that sequence because of the safety of it, the simplicity of it. Right. It doesn't take much athleticism, but it's still instilling chain movements as well as off balancing.
I like it.
That's kind of my personal.
I like the. I like the.
And honestly, you can do a swing single from there too.
Yeah.
The grip is there. It's more so the grip structure that I like on that. And you're not forced, like if they don't give you a certain look, you can't do it. It's not like that, because you're going to do whatever foot's there for, they have forward. Okay.
So I like that.
What about you?
I like the guard pull, fake guard pull to ankle pick.
Classic.
Just because, you set up, basically we're facing each other. I'm going to do a cross grip with my right hand to the cross lapel.
Okay, so you're going to do a cross grip for this.
I'm going to do a cross grip for this, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Yep.
And then I'm going to get what I usually do, actually, before I get my right hand cross grip, I'll throw my left hand and grab your same lapel, like waist level.
Okay.
And get a reaction from you. It makes it easier to throw in that top higher cross grip, and then your hand is already there for me to grab that same sleeve with my left hand.
Okay.
And that's how I set up. It's almost like a collar sleeve. So I have your right lapel and your right sleeve. Mm-hmm. I take a step, do a back rotating step with my back left foot.
Okay.
To get you to step forward
with my
right foot. I drop your sleeve.
So you're basically snapping my head.
Snap your head, rotating you
a big
right
first step,
and then let go with my left hand and pick your right ankle.
Okay.
And then and then basically drive your ankle to my right as I push you to my left with my sleeve.
An X with your arms.
Exactly. And then I also show them the same grips with a fake guard pull, where you basically, you would put anybody that knows better knows that, you really shouldn't. Typically, people don't pull with the leg opposite of the sleeve grip, because they can kind of snatch your leg and you can end up with being taken down. Yeah. But you fake that one. You fake that opposite leg and then go to a squatting stance and then come and do the same sequence with the ankle pick.
Which that's the one that I'm or Hokage is very good at.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good one. And then it works well with just a regular guard pull too, right? I like the collar sleeve because especially if you pull into collar sleeve, you've got a lot of attacking options
with
right
a cross collar
grip. Cross collar grip. I dig that.
Because Humalo will do a same side.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little different variation, but successful with it, but not as common.
I gravitate in closed guard. I like the collar sleeve grip on the same side. It's nice for controlling posture and getting some rotation out of someone, and really that arm's really vulnerable typically.
So if you were gonna show someone brand new white belt, is
that's what I would do.
You would go?
Yep, at first. But I like, and then I'd probably mix in with what you're showing too, to give them two kind of options to kind of work with, and just have them not get too deep into any of this stuff, but just have them kind of hone those two things, so they're good at it.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things is reps.
It is.
reps. I mean, there's Olympic judokas.
Yep.
There's college D1 national champion wrestlers. There's Olympic wrestlers. All Olympic judokas that are still doing the most fundamental drills
Yep.
at practice.
Yep.
Shadow wrestling, right? It's essentially shadow boxing but you're doing wrestling moves.
Totally.
Right? Judokas do this as well.
Yep.
Visualization.
Yep.
Nailed it. Right?
Yep.
Practicing your fit drills in judo, which is essentially the very beginning movement of a throw, right?
Yep.
So when getting hip to hip contact or
Right.
whatever, fitting in, right? Fit drills. It's so easy to neglect because it's boring.
Tedious.
It can be.
But that's where you hone that stuff. Though,
Because you
right?
have to have a feel to it.
Yeah.
You have to know what it feels like. So we just did 3 weeks of triangles
Yeah.
in the day class,
Nice.
right? And we start. So the first one was finishing the triangle.
Yep.
That was the whole class. An hour of just finishing details. You have them in a triangle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like their approach.
What are visual cues
Yep.
that we can look at? And then also feel cues.
Yeah.
I had people switching partners at times, say, okay, you feel
Different body
yes,
types.
Yes.
Yep. I like it.
So then, after a couple classes, we started doing entries. But even on those days, the warm up was the finishing. Don't do a fancy entry yet. Still hone in what it feels like when a triangle is right or wrong.
I like that. That's kind of how Danaher does things. He'll reverse engineer from the finishing mechanics first, and then he'll work backwards to the entries.
Oh, okay.
Which is
Interesting.
I understand the rationale behind that.
Yeah, and
'Cause
I
when you get there, you know what to do.
I understand even not doing it that way too.
Sure,
It's
of course. I like that. Though.
I have a small class. I don't have 40 people.
Yeah.
I don't have,
Yeah.
7 brown belts and 15 white belts and 30 you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm different class structure.
Yeah, for sure.
And also the downside of this is if you miss a class, like it could be very detrimental. So this style, and it's probably why Danaher does it, because he expects you're going to be there every day because
Right.
you're a professional.
And you're building off of things.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, yeah. I'm not saying this is the right way to do it.
No,
It's
but
it helps
no.
for my brain, so this is why I do it.
Yeah, no, I kind of gravitate towards that too.
So, but we did 3 weeks of that. So by the time we're moving on from triangles, which yesterday was the last triangle day, hopefully now people have a feel for what a good triangle should feel like. So when they get into a dirty triangle or a diamond position, whatever you want to call it, they know the work that needs to be done to finish that thing.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Entries you can find on YouTube. You can practice another upper belt or whatever.
But that feel.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. That's
So-
a great analogy.
I think we did like 6 entries from different spots. One was a mounted triangle. One was a K-guard entry, which was a little more fancy. That was at the very end.
Yeah.
Which some of the new people, I didn't even have them do that.
Sure.
Because they're a couple of very fresh people. Lasso, the basic lasso stuff.
Yeah.
Double shallow lasso, which is a little different, where my feet are on your the front of your shoulders without the toes and the armpits.
Right.
Well, anyways, and then when someone defends, anyways, some basic level stuff, and then
But when they get there,
they know what works needs to be. Okay, the knee's not above the ear.
Exactly.
Okay, posture down, grab shin.
Right.
Kung fu move your foot to get on all that stuff.
yep, I like it. Same thing would apply then.
Yes, take that into your takedowns. When you see wrestlers like doing 100 reps of the entry of a swing single,
Yep. Yep.
they don't just do that one day.
Nope.
Over and over and over and
Yep.
over. Judo, when you see them, like you can see it on Instagram, when they're just doing these fits
Over and over.
50 times and then they throw on the last one.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, fall in love with that.
Yeah.
Fall in love with that process, and you're going to be a savage pretty quick.
You will, and it pays huge dividends to just get into really embrace that detail, right?
Yeah.
And embrace that grind of knowing you're getting motor memory, and
Yeah.
I mean that's super cool.
That really applies to basically all techniques.
It does, of course.
It's one of those things where, unfortunately, in our sport, jiu-jitsu, and Craig Jones said it best, we have neglected the stand-up.
Yeah,
We have. We in sport jiu-jitsu, it's rewarded to just sit down and
butt scoot.
and not even sit down into an advantageous way. It's you stick your hand out.
Yeah,
And I pull guard.
pull guard. Yeah, yeah,
I make the slightest bit of contact, and I'm on my butt.
right.
Right. That I don't think that's great.
Yeah, I know. I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah. Talking to Professor Brian Boots about that.
Is he opinionated about that?
He's just kind of sloppy in general as a person.
It's not. Was that just to make fun of? I mean, did you have a point about him?
No.
Oh, dude, I thought like he had a hot take on it or something. You just
I'm
wanted
sure
to
he does.
You just wanted to bring him up just so you could make.
He's such a howly.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dude.
Is that a mean thing to say?
Yeah, especially to him
Why?
because it's not true,
Oh,
and you're like the biggest howly ever.
I'll allow it.
I mean, just look at you.
I'll
I mean, at
allow
least I have brown eyes, man.
What's that one?
Fafoka?
Dude,
Fafoka.
we're gonna get in trouble.
I can't slap my fingers, dang it. It means
this?
gossip. You shouldn't do that. Andrea said it's actually bad in Brazilian culture.
It has different meanings.
No, I was
what
just
Brian
demonstrating because you couldn't do it.
Herbert. Yeah. So okay.
But I mean, I think that was. I mean, I just wanted to talk about this because people always talk about, and I don't think you should do one or the other. Mm-hmm. I think you should find some stuff you're gravitating towards and really kind of mix it up.
If
a
you're
little
at a
bit.
school that says one is like shit and one is end all be all,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a place you need to leave, but I understand.
They're
Actually,
missing
isn't that Hernandez guy? Isn't he also a judo black belt? Yeah, the guy I was mentioning earlier. He's a D1 wrestler and a judo
Dude,
black belt.
that's horrifying.
Yeah, he's a savage.
You know?
He doesn't even train much, and he's so savage.
Oh, I'm sure. God, how could you not be? I mean, that's the guy you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Lock up with him. You're like, I've got to try to pull some type of guard.
You better have a guard pull,
a good one.
because otherwise you might get thrown on your neck.
Yeah.
So yeah, for that beginner that's just maybe you're a purple belt and you just never really learned stand up, right?
It can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Start exploring those sumageshis, those tomonages and stuff like that. One of the reasons the tomonage, especially the Yoko tomonage, is so big in the jiu-jitsu world is because it plays off the stupid jiu-jitsu stance that we do, which is bent at the hip, not like a wrestler.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know what you're saying.
A wrestler has his hips underneath him, right? A jiu-jitsu guy, their butt is back and they're in this. They're in this position.
I know. They're hip hinged.
Yes.
Yeah.
And their butt's really far back and their legs are right here and their head's straight and their chest is parallel with the ground.
Yeah.
If you see someone do that, you got to have a tomonage in your bag.
It's
Because
already set up for
They're
it.
begging for it.
Yeah, you just got to load them over you. You're done.
You launch underneath and let it ride.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's kind of your bottom. Take a couple things from each.
Yeah.
Spend some time with them.
Yeah. So ultimately, what are we saying? Is wrestling better than judo?
No.
Is judo better than wrestling? Is guard pulling better than both?
No.
What?
I think they all have their place. Is my point, and I think we all need to do them more. Don't you think?
That's the elder statesman right there. You're such a fence rider. Throw some heat.
Dude, you haven't heard me rant. I rant all the time.
Call the wrestlers a bunch of peas.
Nope.
Call the judo guys a bunch of peas.
Nope. Because there's a couple that are going to put the heat on you big time. No way.
No, I think they're all beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're, it's all grappling,
Yeah.
and I think, the more you can draw from sources and find something that,
What about that Indian oil wrestling?
I don't know. Aren't you a black belt in that?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
That's why I want to know your opinion about it.
Yeah, I haven't delved into that yet. You look like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's how I got this body.
Yeah.
You can oil me up.
No. Don't want to.
Senegali wrestling. Have you seen that?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, they wear little sungas.
Okay.
Just phenomenal bodies. Yokozuna's sumo.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What do you think?
It's impressive.
Their bodies?
The wrestling.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I think they
I'm
could
not too impressed about their bodies.
No, I think they could probably put a hurting on you, though.
They can't catch me.
Yeah, you better hope not.
That's true. Like 600 pounders.
Well, because if you go out of the circle, you're done. So
Yeah,
you
I'm
better
going
be
out
running
the
around that circle.
Have you ever seen the videos of that one white guy? I think he's actually British or something.
Yep.
Or Australian, something like that. And he was actually like really fit.
Yep.
Still quarter the size, but he did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was my dad.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think so.
If you guys got questions, send them to Grappling with Podcast.
What, but you didn't even ask Olivia her point of view on this
Well, I
whole
thought
thing.
you were quarterbacking, you sexist pig.
Well, you were just kind of taking over, and I thought I want to include Olivia.
You're
and
the older man here, Mr. Patriarchy.
I was wondering if I was going to be asked.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess I forgot.
No, I was going to ask her, and I just did.
You were
Punishment
gonna
for forgetting
ask
to
her.
record last week.
No, I did ask
You're
her.
a pig.
You started to say, do you have questions and all that? And I was like, no, we want to include Olivia before we wrap this up.
Right.
So is the question like, which do I prefer?
Let's
What's
hear
your
that.
thoughts on it? The whole topic.
What do you prefer?
Okay, so I actually prefer judo. But that's because with the wrestling, a lot of the wrestling moves require you to lunge forward and go to a knee. And I always worry about hurting my knee or injuring it. Plus, it's
The
kinda
level
hard on
change
your
stuff.
knee.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
wrestling's hard. Let's
Yeah,
not
there's
get
a
it
lot
twisted.
of like knee, like jumping into like these hard knee.
Well, a lot of people have a problem with that initial penetration on the double and then popping the knee over.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not
the
a
knees over toes.
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like judo because of the fact that you can stand up and do that. I feel like there's less likelihood of me injuring myself. Plus, also head position with wrestling, you have to worry about your neck a lot of times, like in where you're putting it. And so with judo, I feel like I don't have to worry about that as much with throws.
Okay.
So that's just my preference.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's value in both of those things, but for me personally, I lean towards judo.
I think
Cool.
you're just picking judo because there's a beautiful Asian American in the room.
I don't think that's why.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the nicest people I've ever met. And you're sitting there,
I said
making up-
beautiful.
I know, but that's like,
You
that's
know,
fine. It's a little weird, though.
Is it?
Yes. He's a dude.
Look at him.
I'm not saying he's not a good looking guy, but you're like, he's gorgeous.
I'm just secure enough to say he's a beautiful man.
I think this is Bill's favorite podcast because he wants to show off all his judo knowledge of the words.
Yeah.
Did you say that you noticed that too?
Nawaza. What is it? Kesikatami. No, wait, that's
Don't
not.
be mad that I'm better than all of you. Yeah, I'm pretentious. Get off. What do you have any thoughts on what you would teach? What do you think you would give a white belt as like a first throw or takedown?
No. Because I don't even know them myself. So I need to I'm the purple belt that needs to learn this stuff. Because, yeah.
Okay.
Say Maji Day.
Maji Day.
She would do a Maji Day.
There you go again.
It just means oh really.
Oh, okay.
It was a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're getting off the rails here. Justin, bring us back. So if you guys want us to talk about anything specific, let us
Yeah.
know. Oh, we got that. Frick. Gordon Ryan,
I was going to say, were you even
Nikki
gonna...
Rod. We'll touch on this briefly.
Yeah, but it's not, the saga isn't over yet.
Yeah. Okay. It's just starting. We're going to touch on it again. I just did something to this. So
You've done a lot of things. That
shots
night.
fired. Nikki Rod is saying that Goran's a big steroid user, and he kind of goes back and forth. He says the only reason he's good is because of steroids, but then he, on another podcast, said that steroids don't make you good. It was very weird. But he also kind of looks like a steroid user himself.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I would just think there's an interesting thing. I haven't watched it yet, but apparently he was getting some blood work done.
Right. He went to Derek for More Plates, More Dates,
Yeah.
and is going to have him analyze his blood work. Something with Nicky Rod. I do get he's a physical specimen.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised if he was juicing out the gills. But his 50 pounds of increased weight happened over a 10-year period from 17 to whatever he is, 25?
Totally.
26? Not as crazy as a 2-year or whatever Gordon did.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, Gordon doesn't even deny it. But that, like, he uses stuff. He just kind of deflects and say, well, the whole freaking sport uses it, so get off my grits.
We just talked about the whole podium emptying on
right.
the last
Right.
competition.
Exactly. So,
You know,
I don't know. And Wagner came out, admitted that he uses TRT.
he should be.
Oh, yeah, he's 41 years old.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if he has diminished testosterone, it's replacement, folks. It's not addition. Now, if he's using it inappropriately, that's
Right.
different.
Which, I mean, no one's
I
going
don't
to
know. Who knows?
But he was one of the ones that dipped out, too.
Well, I don't know what to say. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you
all speculation.
Throw
We
some
to-
heat at him.
No, I actually like him quite a bit as a just from afar. I
Okay.
like his energy.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. I kind of think he's pretty cool.
Well, I thought so, too, until all that fight sports stuff came out.
Okay, well,
Not to burst your bubble.
no, that's okay.
We'll touch on the Gordon and Nicky Rod stuff a little bit more as more stuff comes out, because that's going to be juicy and a lot of fofoka. Do the slap thing.
I'm not gonna do it again. I hurt myself. I'm old.
Gosh.
I hurt my finger.
Arthritis. So, okay, well, if you guys want us to talk about anything, hit us up on the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. grapplingwithpodcast@gmail.com. I think that's about it.
Me too. And you better have a good topic next time.
Okay.
All right.
I'll bring a good topic about fruit and vegetables.
Peace.